So you're pretty handy. You've got some skills and a bucket of tools. But are you really sure how to fix that faucet or repair that hole in the wall? And what would it take to do a remodeling project yourself? If you're unsure, even a little bit, hit the pause button on those projects and take a listen to Contractor John, or you might end up singing the DIY blues. Welcome to the DIY House Medic Podcast. The doctor is in.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Contractor John is in the house. Actually, the doctor is doing a virtual house call today. Yeah. Hey, got to tell you, man, I'm in here doing this, doing the podcast, and I really want to be outside. I went outside to grab the mail, and my neighbor is out there smoking some ribs. Let me tell you, the smell is wonderful, man. There's nothing like the smell of good barbecue, man. I got to get my mind right here. Yeah. Today, we're going to tackle a very difficult subject, money. Ching. Specifically, building or remodeling and money. And I'm going to debunk the whole theory that you must get 3 bids for your projects. Stick around, because this is going to be a really different way of thinking. You don't want to miss it. Remember, you can always access the DIY House Medic show notes right here at DIYHouseMedic.com. And if you want other resources, hop on over to Contractor John World at ContractorJohn.com. And if you want to watch some DIY videos, I got, 80, 90 of them, a whole bunch of them. Head over to Contractor John YouTube channel and make sure you click that subscribe button for me, will you please? Thank you. Hey, shout out to Roy Worley from Roy Worley Voiceovers for that amazing intro. If you need any kind of voice work, any kind of narrative work, whatever, head over to RoyWorleyVO.com and you tell him Contractor John sent you. He's going to take really good care of you. So, seems like we're going to be working from this home for a while. So if you hop over to Contractor John Facebook page and let me know how I can help you working from home. What are your struggles? Let me see if I can help you with those struggles. All right. So let's jump right in today, man. Okay. We're going to destroy this 3-bid myth. Actually, we're going to blow it up. All right. Let me start here by asking you a question. If you needed heart surgery, would you ever in a million years consider asking 3 surgeons to give you bids and then take the lowest one? No, of course not. You wouldn't do that. But many people will think nothing of spending a whole bunch of money, tens of thousands of dollars, and open their home up to a remodeler based solely on his price. Now, I get it, all right? It's a little ridiculous here. Now, a remodeling project is not a life-threatening operation, but it can and it probably will have an effect on your family's financial health for many years to come. There's a lot of other factors that you have to consider before you could find the best contractor for your specific job. So a common way to go about selecting a contractor, deciding on a contractor, is to get 3 bids. All right. You throw out the high bid, you throw out the low bid, you take the middle bid. And you think you kind of like minimized your risk by dropping the extremes. Price drives the selection. Another way that people do it often is they know what they have to spend, and whatever bid comes closest to that number, that's the one they take. And it has really nothing to do with how much the job should cost, but they just match what they have against the bid. And typically that's the low bidder, and you get what you pay for, right? So think about this. When you went on your last job interview, you didn't start by negotiating salary, right? And this remodeling project shouldn't be any different than that, right? Before you get to the money thing, you want to make sure you have a qualified remodeler. Before you begin the search for a contractor, you need to do your homework. All right? The first stop, the very first thing you should do is go to the Remodeling Magazine's yearly cost versus value report. I'll put the link to the show notes in it, right? It's just an absolutely incredible resource, right? They break down common remodeling projects by type and by region of the country, and then the cost of each one of those projects. after you get done looking at this report, you're going to know what the job should cost. Now, you compare that, what the job should cost, to your budget. You're going to ask me, well, what is the budget if it's not what the job costs? Here, there are two separate things, okay? You're going to find out what the job should cost by going to and doing your homework to Remodeling Magazine's yearly cost versus value. Your budget, okay, it's really, I'm gonna simplify it here. There's a big process to this, and I can't really go into it now. But your budget is what you have available to spend on the project, not, I repeat, not what it costs. All right. Now, I promise we're going to talk about budget and profit and overhead, all that kind of stuff in another episode down the road here a little bit. So, all right. So after you get this part of the homework completed, and don't you dare cheat, all right? Okay? Don't cheat on it, because that's really the most important part of the thing. Finding out what it should cost, because that's going to give you a level of comfort when you do get a price from your contractor, okay? So after you do this part of the homework, I want you to ask your neighbors and your friends if they can recommend a contractor. Now, listen to me, please. Even if you receive a glowing recommendation from your own mother, I want you to personally check their references. It's important that you talk to other people who've hired this remodeler to do jobs similar to yours, all right? Because let's say you're hiring them for a second floor addition, all right? A great looking kitchen or a fantastic bath remodel has really nothing to do with his ability to build that second floor addition on your house, all right? Ask the references if they had any problems with like their quality, with payment schedule, with employees, with completion time. I mean, those are the kinds of questions you want to ask, all right? Now, the best question to ask those references is, ready? Would you hire this remodeler again? Now, a lot of people don't want to make negative comments, but the way they answer that question, it's going to tell you all you need to know. After you talk with references, I want you to look at their work, all right? Check out, you're going to meet them and stuff. Check out the quality of craftsmanship, the materials they used, overall aesthetics, creativity, all right? And then how the project blends in with the rest of the house, all right? Now, a little word of caution there. If somebody's redoing their home and they just upgraded their kitchen, that may not go with the rest of the house because they just started and they're going to do the whole house, but one room at a time. So kind of take that in consideration and stuff, but you'll know that talking to the references and stuff if this is the first project in a long list of projects or what. So, all right. So next, I want you to verify the remodeler's licensing. Now, if it's required in your city or state, and insurance, okay? Insurance, liability insurance, and workers' comp. Because if they don't have workers' comp and one of their employees gets hurt on the job, you could be liable for medical bills and lost wages. All right? Now, one other word of caution here. If you're hiring a general contractor, one of the questions you want to ask them too, who's doing the work? Do they hire subs to come in and do the work? Or are they all their own employees? All right? If you get a certificate of insurance, a COI, from the contractor saying he has liability insurance and he has workers' comp coverage, that's great if all his employees are working on a job. But if he hires subcontractors and that subcontractor didn't give you a COI, certificate of insurance, and they don't have workers' comp, then you could be in trouble there if somebody got hurt. So verify with your contractor, are the people working here employees of yours or are they subcontractors? And if they are subs, you want a certificate of insurance showing liability and workers' comp for every contractor that steps foot in your house there. It does work. All right. Another good indication of a professional remodeler is membership in trade associations like the NAHB's RC. It's the National Association of Home Builders Remodelers Council, or local associations. Southwest Suburban Home Builders Association is one in this area. Will Grundy County Home Builders and Associates, I was president of that years ago. They've now merged with Southwest Suburban. Three Rivers Contract Association, one of those professional organizations. Check that out. Rarely will a shady operator, somebody that's not like real good, they won't want to leave a paper trail by joining one of those organizations and stuff. So that's a good indicator that they're professional. Another good indication of a professional remodeler is warranties, right? Now, most remodelers will offer some type of warranty, but remember, a warranty is only as good as the company that's backing it up, right? So now, you got your homework done, and you feel good about the remodeler, and he has a proven track record of quality and service, right? Now you discuss project details and price, right? Now, the decision may come down to how you feel about this contractor. You feel comfortable with them? Are you easy to communicate with them? That remodeler is going to spend many, many hours in your home. It's important that you feel comfortable with him, that you feel that you can communicate with him, and that they understand you and you understand them. And I want you to ask them too, who's going to be running the job? You know, in a little bit of a larger company, typically the salesperson won't be there. They'll have a project manager or something. So ask if you can meet the project manager. You need to relate to them because they're actually the person that's going to be running a job, and you're going to see them every day. Okay? Now, you guys should be able to work together, right? If you combine your ideas and their expertise, that's when you turn this vision into that finished product. Here goes, right? When you're feeling comfortable, I know I'm laughing because I know you guys are going to look at me like I've lost my mind here. So when you feel comfortable with the remodeler, I would strongly suggest you do something that's going to make you think I lost my mind, like I said, all right? I want you to share your budget number with them. All right? Get off the floor. Okay, so remember, your budget is not what the project will cost, but it's the money you have available to spend on the project. Now, I know the vast majority of people are reluctant to share their budget number with the remodeler because they think that remodeler is going to take all their money. He's going to spend all of it. He's going to find some way to spend all of it, okay? But if you've done your homework correctly, you should trust your remodeler by now, and you should realize that if you share that budget number with him, you're all going to be on the same page, all right? That budget number, that information, all right, put together with his knowledge of general costs and stuff, well, will just ensure that you don't plan a project that's way too much for your budget, okay? Honestly, when I had, a little side story here, when I had my remodeling company, and I would go to people's houses and we would talk about their project or whatever, okay, I would not write the proposal until they gave me a budget number. I wouldn't do it because I did in my early years, and I just, you know, they told me what they wanted and everything. I figured it all out, and it takes hours and hours to figure it all out. You bring it back, you sit down with them, and they go, oh my God, that's twice as much as we wanted to spend. And then they tell you what they wanted to spend. Well, it doesn't do any good now because now I painted this picture of the Taj Mahal, okay, when they're getting White Castle or something. I mean, it's just not, it just doesn't work. So I got to a point where I would not write the proposal unless they gave me a budget number, okay? Because honestly, if they didn't feel comfortable with me and if they didn't feel I was honest, then I wasn't doing my job, you know? So anyway, so I want you to think of this remodeling project here. Think about this. When you purchase a new car, you get to see it first. You get to drive it. You get to see how it feels, right? But with a remodeling project, you're purchasing a concept, and you're not going to see the final product until after the contract is signed, sealed, and delivered, and you spent all your money. A car versus a concept, okay? That's why shopping works for cars, but it doesn't work for a remodeling project. If the car, you know exactly what you're going to get. You can ask dealers for prices, specific make, model, color, everything. All right, and you know you're going to be getting or comparing apples to apples. But with the remodeling project, it's they differ. They differ significantly. It just doesn't work that way. So now remember, lowball bids. All right, many reasons for lowball bids. Shoddy workmanship, poor craftsmanship, inadequate safety, lack of insurance licensing, or And this one I've seen, the bid from the remodeler, all right, he's never completed a project, never done a project like the one you're asking him to do, and he just flat out missed things. When you've been through this process and you've selected the remodeler, all right, and you've given him your budget, ask him for a bid, make sure that the bid and the contract is as complete and thorough as possible. I want you to make sure that they have material brand names, model numbers, allowances, the total cost, obviously, payout schedule, and a procedure for change orders and the completion date. All right. Now, let me back up 1 second here. Allowances. If they put in like light fixtures, that's a good one. All right. They put in an amount that you get to spend on light fixtures. Let's say you're putting a new dining room light fixture in. They've seen the other light fixtures in your home because they've been there. You've talked to them and stuff. They might give you $150 allowance for a light fixture. And that would be fair unless you had some big giant vaulted ceiling and you had a massive chandelier that you couldn't touch for like $600 or $700. That small allowance is going to skew their number and get it lower, okay? So you got to make sure that the allowances that they give you are realistic and stuff. Like in a kitchen, allowances for fixtures because you haven't actually picked out your dishwasher, your stove, your refrigerator. So you got to make sure that the allowances are reasonable. Again, if you did your homework, you should know what the whole job cost. But you should also go take a look at those big ticket items that are pretty easy to price, like a refrigerator. A Frigidaire model ABC is the same refrigerator if you go to Home Depot or Menards or Grant's or wherever. Okay, so do your homework with that stuff too. All right. Now, completion date. Here's a word of caution on completion date. If you ask for a penalty clause, and I've been asked for this a couple times when I've done jobs, I said, absolutely, I can do that for you, okay? But if I finish ahead of time, do I get an incentive? And they just looked at me and, what? Well, if you're going to ask him for a penalty if he runs over, then be prepared to ask him for incentive if he finishes ahead of time, right? And then change orders. Most change orders add time to the project as well as money, all right? So be aware of that too, right? Now, if you've shared your budget and you work together effectively, you communicated well and everything, and this design and specification portion of this whole process, and you get to the price, then the contract price shouldn't be a shock to you at all. You should already know what it's going to cost because you did your homework at Remodel Magazine's Cost versus Value report. All right. Now, it's the remodeler's responsibility, professional quality remodel. It's his responsibility to control the scope of the project to a level that works with your budget. And the way that he can do that is when he knows your budget and he knows the scope, all right, he can tweak it, and you might have to give up the custom cabinets. You might have to go with standard cabinets. Or maybe you go with vinyl laminate floor instead of real hardwood, or Formica countertops instead of granite. He can kind of play with those things to get you the overall project that you want and stay within your budget. That's part of his responsibility and his job, okay? So remember, quality is never, ever cheap, okay? And I know good research and homework seems like a headache, but let me tell you, an expensive headache, all right, is having a lowball bidder take the roof off your house, disconnect plumbing, and then take your money and skip out. All right. I can't tell you through the years how many projects that I've been called in to fix when that exact thing happened. And it almost always costs more money to fix it than the original high bid. Another little side story here. There was a couple, and I did not know this couple at the time. They went to my church. I went to a huge church. And the pastor called me and asked me if I'd come in and talk to him. I came in and talked to him, and he explained to me that these people had a contractor come in, do a second-story addition, and ripped off the roof and everything, got it framed, and they fell through the roof in the kitchen. It fell through the ceiling in the kitchen. the electric service fell off the house. He had to have ComEd come in, everything, and it was one thing after another, and finally the contractor just left. All right, and the job wasn't even drywalled yet. They were beside themselves, and they had back and forth with them and stuff, and had a couple of the contractors come in, and they just wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. The pastor asked me to go in and talk with these people, so I did. I went to their house and I looked at it, and it was an absolute total mess. Long story short, I had to get the building department, the architect, and an engineer, and myself there, to talk about how we were going to fix this house, because they had destroyed structural integrity of a lot of the parts of the house and stuff. They undersized some of the support beams, the whole second floor addition up. They put the wrong size windows in. They didn't meet egress requirements. So we worked through all this, okay, and had to fix some stuff, like I said, with an engineer and that. So the project wound up costing them their high bid. And they didn't have the money to do the high bid, so they picked the lowest guy because that's the budget they had. Well, that just didn't work. They wound up having to get a second mortgage and stuff of that, and I did it the best I could for them, but it still cost. It cost as much as the high bid would have cost in the first place, plus they had all those headaches and everything. So just remember, do your homework and don't select on price low, okay? I'm going to leave you with, all right, the 5 P's, and I always hold my hand up when I do this, all right? Proper planning prevents poor performance. Okay, remember that. The 5 P's. Proper planning prevents poor performance. Planning always makes the job run smoother. Always does. All right? So, all righty. I hope you get something out of that. And I hope I've kind of convinced you to blow up that 3-bid myth and think about it a different way. Okay? So,